Hare Krishna. Okay, so in a few minutes we'll begin the program with Kirtan. Kirtan means celebration of the divine, means glorification of the Lord. Actually, the meaning of Kirtan is to describe the qualities, the glories. And so we'll do Kirtan in responsive format. So I'll sing a mantra, and then you can respond. And the mantra, I think it's up here. It's around behind you. It's all over the place. and so mantra, like the English word mind, comes from the Sanskrit mana, and tra means to free or to deliver. So mantra is names of the divine that free the consciousness from material illusion and return us to our natural, thriving, flourishing self in self-realization and connection with Supersoul, or God within the heart. And so it's a form of yoga. Yoga, like the English word to yoke, comes from the Sanskrit yoga, to connect. In essence, yoga means the self connecting with itself in self-realization and turning to source in an attitude of devotion. And so if someone, let's say, is doing farming, and that connection with the earth is enhancing their self-discovery and connection with the absolute, that would be a form of yoga called karma yoga. So we're going to do yoga through sound vibration, through chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's 16 words. It's a 16-word mantra composed of 3 words, Hare, Krishna, and Rama. And each of those words is a name of the divine. It's described, Namo Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purnashuddho Nitya Mukto Binatvan Namanamino. That the names of the ultimate, the names of God, are non-different from God. So whatever we understand or don't understand cognitively by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or any name of God, then we're actually associating with God, and thus we get to experience the uplifting, cleansing, purifying effects. So the basic process for Kirtan, it's a meditation process, meditation on sound vibration. We focus our mind and hearing on each word of the mantra, hearing and expressing, and then we if we notice our mind wandering, we just go back and do our best to bring our consciousness to the sound vibration of the mantra and be with our experience. Okay. And welcome those online and here in person. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us in chanting Hare Krishna. And so, in the next part of our Bhakti Yoga Enlightenment program, here at the home of Rasamrita in Gainesville, Florida, we'll study some Bhagavad-gita as it is and discuss some philosophy. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 It's May 24th, 2026, and we're studying Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 18, entitled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation, text 78. Text 78, chapter 18. Okay, so we're here in person with Gabriel, Andrea, Zeth, Anasuya, Rasamrita, and Bo Lockwood. And here online, there's Larry Ostroff, Raina Strampello, Rukmini Parampara, and Aditya. Just so everyone can see everyone. There you go, that worked. That was helpful. Good, good.
David, could you say the chapter again?
Chapter 18, text 78. Okay, we'll start with the Sanskrit words responsively. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno Yatra Parto Danordara Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno Yatra Parto Danordara Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno Yatra Parto Danordara Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno Yatra Parto Danordara Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno
Yatra Parto Dhanurdara.
Yatra Parto Danordara
Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir.
Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno
Yatra Parto Danirdara.
Yatra Parto Danurdara
Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir.
Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno
Yatra Parto Nordana.
Yatra Parto Danordara
Tata Sri Vijayo Bhutir.
Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir
Dhruva Nitra Matir Mama.
Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna.
Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno
Yata Paro Dara.
Yatra Parto Danordara
Tatra Srivajo Bhutir.
Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir
Dura Nityar Matir Mama.
Tatra Nitir Matir Mama Would anyone else, online or in person, like to lead the chanting? Okay, we'll study the word meanings responsively. Yatra,
Yatra.
where?
Where?
Yogeshvara,
Yogeshvara.
the master of mysticism.
The master of mysticism.
Krishna,
Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
Lord Krishna,
Yatra,
Yatra,
where
where
Partha,
Partha,
the son of Prita,
the son of Pita,
Danurdara,
Danurdara,
the carrier of the bow and arrow,
the carrier of the bow and arrow,
Tatra,
Tatra,
there,
there,
Sri,
Shri,
opulence,
opulence,
Vijaya,
Vijaya,
victory,
victory,
Booty,
booty,
exceptional power,
Exceptional power.
Dhruva,
Dhruva.
certainly,
Certainly.
Niti,
Niti.
morality,
Morality.
Mati Mama,
Matimama.
is my opinion.
Is my opinion.
Translation. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Bhagavad-gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra. He was hopeful of the victory of his sons, assisted by great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, and Karna. He was hopeful that the victory would be on his side, but after describing the scene in the battlefield, Sanjaya told the king, "You are thinking of victory, but my opinion is that where Krishna and Arjuna are present, there will be all good fortune." He directly confirmed that Dhritarashtra could not expect victory for his side. Victory was certain for the side of Arjuna because Krishna was there. Krishna's acceptance of the post of charioteer for Arjuna was an exhibition of another opulence. Krishna is full of all opulences, and renunciation is one of them. There are many instances of such renunciation, for Krishna is also the master of renunciation. The fight was actually between Duryodhana and Yudhisthira. Arjuna was fighting on behalf of his elder brother Yudhisthira. Because Krishna and Arjuna were on the side of Yudhisthira, Yudhisthira's victory was certain. The battle was to decide who would rule the world, and Sanjaya predicted that the power would be transferred to Yudhisthira. It is also predicted here that Yudhisthira, after gaining victory in this battle, would flourish more and more because he was not only righteous and pious, but he was a strict moralist. He never spoke a lie during his life. There are many less intelligent persons who take Bhagavad-gita to be a discussion of topics between two friends in a battlefield. But such a book cannot be scripture. Some may protest that Krishna incited Arjuna to fight, which is immoral, but the reality of the situation is clearly stated. Bhagavad-gita is the supreme instruction in morality. The supreme instruction of morality is stated in the 9th chapter in the 34th verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakta. One must become a devotee of Krishna, and the essence of all religion is to surrender unto Krishna, as stated, Sarva Dharman. The instructions of Bhagavad-gita constitute the supreme process of religion and of morality. All other processes may be purifying and may lead to this process, but the last instruction of the Gita is the last word in all morality and religion, surrender unto Krishna. This is the verdict of the 18th chapter. From Bhagavad-gita we can understand that to realize oneself by philosophical speculation and by meditation is one process, but to fully surrender unto Krishna is the highest perfection. This is the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad-gita. The path of regulative principles according to the orders of social life and according to the different courses of religion may be a confidential path of knowledge, in as far as the rituals of religion are confidential, but one is still involved with meditation and cultivation of knowledge. Surrender unto Krishna in devotional service, in Krishna consciousness, is the most confidential instruction and is the essence of the 18th chapter. Another feature of Bhagavad-gita is that the actual truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Absolute truth is realized in three features: impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Perfect knowledge of the absolute truth means perfect knowledge of Krishna. If one understands Krishna, then all the departments of knowledge are part and parcel of that understanding. Krishna is transcendental, for he is always situated in his eternal internal potency. The living entities are manifested and are divided into two classes, eternally conditioned and eternally liberated. Such living entities are innumerable, and they are considered fundamental parts of Krishna. Material energy is manifested into 24 divisions. The creation is affected by eternal time, and it is created and dissolved by external energy. This manifestation of the cosmic world repeatedly becomes visible and invisible. In Bhagavad-gita, 5 principal subject matters have been discussed: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, material nature, the living entities, eternal time, and all kinds of activities. All of these are dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. All conceptions of the Absolute Truth, namely impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, or any other transcendental conception, exist within the category of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although superficially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity, material nature, and time appear to be different, nothing is different from the Supreme. But the Supreme is always different from everything. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is that of inconceivably one and different. This system of philosophy constitutes perfect knowledge of the absolute truth. The living entity in his original position is pure spirit. He is just like an atomic particle of the Supreme Spirit. The conditioned living entity, however, is the marginal energy of the Lord. He tends to be in contact with both the material energy and the spiritual energy. In other words, the living entity is situated between the two energies of the Lord. And because he belongs to the superior energy of the Lord, he has a particle of independence. By proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus, he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad-gita in the matter of its conclusions, the perfection of renunciation. To continue to invoke auspiciousness in our gathering, I'm going to chant a few more mantras, and I'm chanting them hopefully in a prayerful attitude, that whatever I may speak is authentically representing the spirit and content of Bhagavad Gita. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayamupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Bhagavad-gita chapter 18, text 78. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishno Yatra Partha Danurdara Tatra Shrir Vijaya Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is the Bhagavad Gita has 700 texts, and this is the 700th. This is the final text. And in the very first line of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the Bhagavad Gita began with an inquiry of Dhritarashtra. So Srila Prabhupada's referencing the first, and this is 700th. So the very first line, the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Mama Samaveta Yuyutsava Mamakan Pandavas Chaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra is asking his assistant, Sanjaya, named Sanjaya, what did my sons, headed by Duryodhana, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do, gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, prepared to fight? And so Bhagavad Gita, it's known truly and rightly as a conversation between two personalities, Arjuna and Krishna. So that's true. At the same time, there's other personalities involved, and the whole conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, it's narrated by a great personality named Sanjaya, and he's speaking to Dhritarashtra in the palace. And Sanjaya, he has what Prabhupada calls it mystic television. That Sanjaya, even though he's in the palace, he's not on the battle of Kurukshetra. He can see what's happening. He has that vision. So it's like a mystic television. There were, in those previous ages, it's like, oh, they were primitive, backward. Not necessarily. They had more subtle technologies, just like through television or a Zoom, we can see what's happening on another part of the world, another continent. Okay, so that was possible, but through different types of technologies. They had 3 or 4 different types of aircraft technology. Probably would say much more refined and subtle than the 747 and things like that. And so Sanjaya speaking so the very first text is spoken by Dhritarashtra, and that's what Prabhupada is referring to. And so Dhritarashtra, it's as like his sons, and he wants his sons to win the battle. And goes, so what's happening there? So then, okay, then Sanjaya narrates this conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and then at the very end, and also some points in the middle at the very end, Sanjaya comes back on directly, and he's saying a few verses, and one of the verses he's saying is this one here. So essentially Sanjaya is saying, this isn't good news for you. That he's speaking to Dhritarashtra, because Arjuna is the opponent of Dhritarashtra's son, Duryodhana. I'm not going to get too much into the names and the intrigue of it. I will say, Bhagavad Gita, it's 18 chapters that comes towards the conclusion of a grand epic called the Mahabharata. It's described, the Mahabharata is 7 times the length of the Iliad and the Odyssey combined. So it's like thousands and thousands of pages, but the main point of the Mahabharata is to feature the Bhagavad Gita as the gem, and this is the essence of the Mahabharata, the essence of all Vedic philosophy. And so there's like this whole war that's about to happen, And Sanjaya is saying to Dhritarashtra, look, wherever there's Krishna and his pure devotee, any pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, in this case Arjuna, there's going to be victory. And so Krishna's not even fighting. Actually, it's described. There was a whole scene, a whole pastime where Duryodhana, he's the son of Dhritarashtra, and he had a chance to choose. You can have Krishna on your side, or you can have Krishna's military army. So Duryodhana was like, "Oh, I take the army," but it's like, tens of thousands of us. I'll take the army. So then Arjuna got Krishna. Okay, and Arjuna was completely satisfied with this. And Krishna was committed. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to pick up arms. I'm not going to fight. So a theme here, Rasamrita communicated with me, a theme of our conversation today is success. Okay, so this is a quintessential success verse. So wherever there's victory, wherever there's Krishna, it's going to be victory. It's going to be success. Vijay. We say Jai and Vijay. Okay, there's going to be success and morality and opulence and abundance and extraordinary power, exceptional power. So that's the key. So Sanjaya is saying, like, yeah. So Krishna is with Arjuna, even though Krishna's not fighting, but there's going to be success for Arjuna and his brother Yudhishthira. So this gets to, Srila Prabhupada often gives the analogy, we also often use it in our seminars and other places, a string of zeros, a string of zeros. If we have 20 zeros, 30 zeros, what's the value? What's it worth? 0. But if we put the 1 in front, then the 1 that gives value to the zeros. It becomes trillions and quadrillions, becomes a very huge number. So zeros, that's the different areas of our life, whether physical fitness or what's our bank account look like, or what's your career, or what kind of house do you live in? Okay, there's different areas of life. And we know if we're lost to ourself, it's all empty. It's all empty. So the 1, that's self-realization and God realization. Okay. Otherwise, in the name of success, just like, okay, I noticed right here we have Hiranyakashipu. And he's on the lap of Nrsingadev. He's not enjoying himself. Actually, it's an interesting picture I've seen over my 46 years involved with Krishna consciousness. Sometimes people will come into a home or temple, and there's because it might see, oh, Radha Krishna, oh, that's Narada Muni playing this wonderful instrument, or what's that? Okay, we're not going to explain too much about what it is right now. I'm going to talk for a little bit more, then will be a chance for questions, and we're ready to go wherever you want to go with our questions and discussion. But anyhow, so Hiranyakashipu, he had great material ambitions and aspirations, and it's described that because he could not control his senses drove him to need to control the entire universe. And he was successful. Because to the extent that any of us, I could speak in I statements, in material consciousness, that's basically our project. My project is to control the entire universe and everyone in it. We might not say that, but essentially, like, if you could really, I just want to control, like that, and like, uh, the main goal is the David Wolf God Project. Okay, that's
that we get that.
Yeah, what's that?
And that we get that.
Yes, and that you get that. Well, that's the problem. Because this David Wolf God Project, this is a great idea. You're just not in agreement with it. And I've met others who are not in agreement with it, and so I'm always frustrated. Okay? So that's material consciousness. I want to be the controller. And, and and I won't be a tyrant, I'll be nice, and then you can appreciate me as the great emperor of the universe, or whatever. Okay, so that's what we all want in material consciousness, to control the entire universe, and we're pathetically unsuccessful. Okay? I mean, we have our little range of success. Look, I control this, I have this, I got my dog, and, my dog thinks I'm like this God figure, or I got this little money in the bank account, or I get these people listen to me at my job, or something. We have these little, but it's pretty paltry. So Hiranyakashipu, he's the quintessential, he's a true historical figure. And he's a really successful materialist. He succeeded to control all the planetary, the whole material universe, the elements, because he couldn't control the senses, so he needed to. And so he was successful, and he still wasn't satisfied. That's because he was controlling the entire universe. Even the demigods were like bowing at his feet. So there was one person who's like, well, I mean, yeah, all respect to you, Dad, but I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. That person was his 5-year-old son, Prahlad. Back in September of last year, at this very home ashram, after an enlightenment program, Russ Amrita, you showed a movie of Mahavatar Nrsimha. Zeth was there, I remember, like that. So Hiranyakashipu, he's like the main villainous character there. And so he was so frustrated that, like, no, you need to worship me. And Prahlad, he was never disrespectful, he was always respectful. But I'm going to Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Samaranam. I'm going to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna. Vishnu is an expansion of Krishna. And so, no, I am the Supreme. And Prahlad is like, all respect, but Hare Krishna. So he tried to torment and torture, tried to kill his son. It gets quite gruesome. I'm not going to go into it. It's described in many places. That movie describes it nicely. 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he had success. He had success, in quotes, more than we can ever imagine, like trillions of times more. Trillions of times more. He had success materially, but it was complete failure. I mean, ultimately he got transformed through Nrsimhadeva's nails in different ways. So it is said that somewhere in the New Testament, what's the good if you gain the world but lose your soul? Okay, so Hiranyakashipu, he gained the world and lost his soul, and then we're all empty inside. It's all zeros. It's all zeros. So it's described in just some basic fundamental review. It's described earlier in Bhagavad-gita. Hinosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dirastatra namuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from childhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at the time of death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So what good is it if we gain the world but lose our soul? If we lose our, in different ways to say, if we lose our integrity, if we're alienated from ourselves, like Hiranyakashipu. And so we're not the body. The body changes, yet there's some constant identity I call David. And so we are that eternal spirit soul that passes on from childhood body to youth body. And then when at the change of body called death, then the soul continues on. Where it continues, there's a science. That's the science of transmigration. Yam yam vapi smam bhavam kajet yante kalevram tam tam eveti kontia sadatad baba bhavita. Whatever state of consciousness we cultivate in this lifetime, that will be with us when the soul leaves the body, and that'll take us to the next body. If our consciousness is completely pure, all we want is to serve the Supreme Person with love and devotion, then we're not forced to get another body subject to Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, birth, death, old age, disease. Then we revive and reawaken our eternal spiritual body, and we get to engage in loving, spontaneous, devotional play with the Supreme Person and his associates, without any of the inebrities and contaminations of material attempts at so-called enjoyment. Okay, and so, yes, and so the heart's beating and the blood's flowing and the eyes are blinking because the soul's inside. Okay, so matter, dead matter, has no consciousness. We are conscious and we are consciousness. We, the spirit soul. Right? So like, oh, yes, I have a desire because I'm a conscious entity. And so I want to pick up this watch. So I pick up the watch. But if the consciousness is inside, like let's say that pillow or the chair over there, it will never say or think, oh, I wish I was in the room over there. Yeah. No, because there's no consciousness. There's no consciousness. Okay. So we're conscious entities. And at the very source of our existence, there's another conscious. So we're the soul, or the Atma. At the very source of our existence, there's what's called the super soul, or the Paramatma. And the Paramatma, Kshechugyam Chapimam Vidisar Kshechesu Bharata Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matasavam Pravartates. Sarvasya Chaham Ridisa Nivisto. Krishna says, I. And a full expansion of me exists in the heart of all living entities. Just like, okay, things move because consciousness acts on it. Otherwise the pillow will just stay there forever. But if I say, I want the pillow to move over there, then it'll move because a conscious entity acts on it. So there's so much happening even in the body. We mentioned the blinking of the eyes and the beating of the heart. I'm not doing that. What to speak of when I'm awake, but when I'm sleeping, but there's still so much matter moving, like keeping the synapses firing and things. So it means there must be another conscious entity in there, and that's called the Paramatma. That's the super soul. Okay, so Gabor Mate said, safety is not the absence of threat, it's the presence of connection. Threat, the nature of the material world, is there's always going to be threat of one type or another. And so connection with self and connection with super soul, source of self, that's the safe position. Because then we have a happiness, a fulfillment, that'll never be devoured by the snake of time, never annihilated by time. And so Sanjaya is saying, so that connection with Krishna, who's the very source of super soul. Krishna's the source of soul, source of all material energy, all spiritual energy, including the soul and the super soul. So okay, that's a victory. That's a victory. Then we often use the term, nothing material can get in the way of the success we desire, because we're connected with the very source and Lord of all energies. There's a text in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir et hokshaje ahitukya pratyata yayatma suprasidati. And one thing it says that all the dharmas, all of our activities, whether it's fulfilling responsibilities in family relationships or in our job or to our country or to our community, all the dharmas are meant to bring us to deeper and deeper pure enthusiasm to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is according to Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, Savai Pumsam Protam Yato Bhaktir. To bhakti. Bhakti means loving devotional service to the Supreme. And in that state of loving devotional service, then that's power. Then nothing material can get in the way of fulfilling our desires in co-creation with the Supreme Person. Nothing material can get in the way. And it doesn't mean nothing spiritual can get in the way. Now, if something spiritual gets in the way, it means God has an even more beautiful plan. But it's not because some material obstacle, and it's not because my material desires of lust, anger, greed are interfering. Okay, so this is the platform of success, and with that naturally goes, opulence, abundance, morality. This pure bhakti. So is Arjuna. He's fully devoted to Krishna. So Sanjaya is saying, like, they're going to be successful, even though materially their armies were like, I forget the percentage, like 5% of the size of Duryodhana's armies. So like materially, they have no chance. But Sanjaya is like, no, they got Krishna here. Even though Krishna's not fighting, they're devoted to Krishna. So this is the success formula. Yes, this is the success formula, and this is the peace formula. And all success, peace, all good qualities naturally emerge to the extent that we're connected with self and self-realization and connected with Krishna in a spirit of devotion. Krishna, it's a name for the Supreme, for God. In philosophy, there's just different discussions around ethics and morality and like that. And it's all relative until we come to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like, moral is to always speak the truth. And there are some philosophers will just stand on that. Okay, but let's say we see there's a killer who's killing people with a gun or a knife, and he's particularly looking for one 6-year-old child to kill, and we know that 6-year-old child is hiding behind a car over there. So say, have you seen Billy, the 6-year-old child? And he's got the knife. So we'll probably say, well, because I'm a moral and ethical person. Yeah, behind the red car there's Billy. Then we'll probably, yeah, Billy went that way. We'll lie. And most would not criticize us. Most will not criticize us. We'll say, well, that was the moral thing to do. You protected Billy from this terrible killer. So we're just giving ideas. It's relative. We don't want to misuse that. That like if I'm just lying or deceiving because my image and my ego, and I want to manipulate people for selfish purposes, I don't want to justify it because of some extreme exception. But here we're looking at absolute goodness. absolute goodness. Yeah. So all qualities. It's described Arjuna as a pure devotee of Krishna. It's naturally very peaceful, compassionate, soft-hearted. He didn't want to fight. In hearing Bhagavad-gita, he understood though that the countries, the planet was being ruled by vicious people like Duryodhana who were doing harm to others. So to protect innocent people, it was his service to Krishna and his service to communities, to the whole planet, to fight like that. So that was transcendental goodness. Transcendental goodness. It's described. Yasyasti bhakti. It's described that when we devote ourselves to God with love and devotion, all the goodness, all the sattvic qualities naturally manifest. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana sarva gunes tatra samasate sara harava bhaktasya kuto mahatguna manovatena sati davato bhayi. That all the naturally good qualities of the elevated living beings are there in a devotional heart. Okay, that's good. And like, without separate endeavor. Without separate endeavor. Of course, it is part of our process of bhakti, of devotional life, to cultivate those qualities of goodness, and not to think that because externally I'm doing some devotional service, then automatically I'm tolerant and peaceful and like that. Another example that comes to me was, we gave the example of like a murderer looking to kill a child or something. Yeah, when we were sharing and engaging in educational programs for Krishna consciousness in the Middle East. We'd be like in Israel, and we would have these talks with, they're generally Israelis, very, very philosophical people. And so like, okay, so let's say someone has a lot of money and they use the money to open a hospital. Is that good? Yeah, that would be a good thing to do, compared to just like, I'm going to buy a fleet of yachts, or I'm going to, do something that destroys the earth or something. That would be good. So, okay. Let's say the hospital is in downtown Beirut and it specializes in healing terrorists so they can get back on the job. Is that a good thing to do? Well, no, that wouldn't be good. So we just to illustrate, but it's described that we remember Krishna, serve Krishna, then that's absolutely good. Then that's absolute goodness. That's like watering the root of the tree, strengthening the one in front of the zeros. And myself, like, okay, let's say something like peacefulness or nonviolence, good quality, peacefulness. It's the first of the Brahminical qualities, samodamastapo, self-control, peacefulness, sama. So I remember, like, from the time I'm like 14, 15 years old. So this goes back to like mid-70s, okay? So like the whole thing of vegetarianism wasn't as popular then as now. But I had friends, even at that time, they were vegetarian and into late teens, and I could understand it from a moral point of view, from an ethical point of view, ecologically, health. I got it, But like, I was still attached to the food I was raised on, which wasn't vegetarian, not completely vegetarian. And then but then when I after a few years of getting a taste of lots of prasad, and I devoted myself to, I'm going to practice bhakti yoga, serve Krishna through Srila Prabhupada. Then it wasn't even like, I'm going to be a vegetarian, which is like automatically. So this is like a personal example. I remember this was in 1984. I came back from the Bhakti Ashram in Ra'anana, Israel, to visit my parents and sister. And after a few days there, I got kidnapped by a group of people called deprogrammers. Some of you may have heard my story, parts of it, not going to go into it. But anyhow, I'm remembering here, before the kidnapping, I was in the car with my mother and sister. We were driving, and my mother, I clearly, as things unfolded, she wasn't like particularly favorable, to me, dedicating my life to Krishna consciousness. Of course, if we fast forward 27 years, she was chanting Hare Krishna at the time of leaving her body, so there's things unfolded very auspiciously. But at that time, so she had her reservations, and she was fearful of her son practicing Krishna consciousness. But she said, "I have noticed, David, you're a lot cleaner and neater than you were before."
Some good qualities.
Yeah, so you should keep that part. Yeah, I don't know about this chanting stuff. But she said, you should, because, I don't want to say, like, when I was growing up with my mom as a teenager, what my room would look like. But there's karma, because then, like, my daughter Sita got me back. Anyways, it's karma, But, but I remember my you're like a lot cleaner and neater than you used to be. And I got that from the temple, coming to Krishna consciousness and like that. So, yeah. So all the good qualities naturally manifest, and so to hear from Krishna, this is like absolute success. Hear from Krishna, that's what Prabhupada's emphasizing, that Arjuna, that was his consciousness. That's because at the very beginning of Bhagavad-gita, Arjuna was like, I don't know Krishna, because there's this argument, I don't know about this fighting this. And at some point, Arjuna acknowledged, Karpanya dosha patasva bhava, prichami tvam, dharma samuda cheta, yatreya shan nishchita bhui tanme shishasteham sadimam tram prapanam. Arjuna said, now I am confused about my duty, and I've lost all composure due to miserly weakness. Requires humility for a great warrior to admit, I'm feeling weak and lost and confused. He wasn't, this like alpha male that was his image sort of thing. He says, in this condition, please guide me. Tell me what to do. Now I'm your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Please instruct me. And so Prabhupada talks about two forms of bhakti in the purport here. He talks about regulative sadhana, regulative devotional service, sadhana bhakti. And then through that regulative devotional service, then our natural, spontaneous love for Krishna, Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajaka Bunoik Shravanadi Shuddhachite Karyodai, naturally manifests. And then it's not about like rules and regulations. At the same time, even someone on that platform of spontaneously serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, they'll follow the guidelines, the rules of the road to set an example. So there's many ways we can connect to this source of like infallible victory, of true success, not superficial success, of true goodness. And you might say that the easiest, most recommended way as an entrance is through Shravanam Kirtanam, particularly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's described in the ancient Upanishads, Iti Shodashakam Nam Nam Kalikama Shanashanam, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That this chanting what's called the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the 16-word mantra, it's the process most recommended, especially in this age, Kali Yuga, for cleansing the heart and reviving our spiritual body, getting out of the illusion that we'll be happy by satisfying material desires, and awakening to self-realization and our original consciousness of Krishna consciousness, and that's the platform for happiness and success, according to Bhagavad-gita, all 700 verses. And we've studied here the last verse, and Prabhupada's referencing the first verse. And they're, yes, so the first verse, Dhritarashtra speaking to Sanjaya, yeah, how will this battle go? And in the last verse, Sanjaya is like, yeah, your son's side's not going to do well because they're opposed to Krishna. It's not going to go well. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving your hearing power to Bhagavad Gita, and I welcome at this time if anyone would like to share any comments or realizations or ask any questions this time. Bo.
So Aditya actually taught me about Kali Yuga and the Golden Age, and how the cycles go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It goes so. Is that what you're referring to when you're saying the last chapter is referring to is it the Kali Yuga and the Golden Age? Is it the same? It's the same dynamic.
Yes, yeah. So Aditya is an authorized source. Glad you're in contact with him. Yeah, that's it. So the Golden Age, that's like an English term for the Satya Yuga, which is kind of like amongst the yugas in the material realm. Satya Yuga is when people are most naturally peaceful and sattvic and on contract, I'll use that term, and devotional and pious and cooperative. That's called the Golden Age or the Satya Yuga. And the most degraded age is called Kali Yuga. And we're in Kali Yuga now. Doesn't mean we need to, like this is, we're going to be these degraded, decadent wretches. We don't need to accept that. And that's why it's ascribed to cultivate true spiritual qualities and consciousness in this age. Is chanting Hare Krishna is most recommended. So thanks for referencing your conversation with Aditya, Bo. Any other comments or questions?
I was reflecting on Hiranyakashipu
Yeah.
and how that energy I've seen manifest within me sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, what are the best ways to counteract that? I feel like for me it comes from like fear or trying to control the outcome of something that I'm either attached to it happening or attached to it not happening, and then I try to control. And I'm just curious, any thoughts you have on how to slay that demon within myself?
Thank you, Zeth. I appreciate your humility and vulnerability in recognizing the Hiranyakashipu within. Thank you, Zeth. I appreciate your sharing and your question. Yeah. So, yeah, and you mentioned in what you expressed, like we're attached to something, and we want to control it, and then that's not working, and we become fearful, and it may be resentful, maybe angry. So, and it starts with, I have a desire that it'll come out this way. This relationship will go that way. This investment will go that way. My physical health will go like this. Or, so we have a desire. So, in some approaches, they'll say, yes, so just get rid of all desire. Okay, and that, because it's desire that I want to control, and then that leads to resentment and hurt and pain and rage. Okay. So that can sound nice. The problem, though, is that it's impossible to stop desiring. So that's not the Bhagavad-gita solution. Bhagavad-gita solution, and this is so aligned with everything we do in Sattva-to, don't try to get rid of desire. Transform the quality of desire. And I'll say more about that based on Bhagavad-gita. That, yes, it's described, Jayato Vishayan Pumsa Sankasteshu Vijayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodo Vijayate. It actually describes an 8-step downward spiral. It starts by, while contemplating the objects of the senses, then one develops an attachment to them. From that attachment comes lust, and our lust is frustrated, we become angry, and then it's downhill from there. And then we lose our temper, and anger controls us, and we're just resentment and hostility and bitterness. It's all described in the psychology of Bhagavad-gita. So it starts by contemplating the objects of the senses, then attachment, then lust. Lust essentially means no empathy. I don't want this. I need to have it. I need it. My identity, my existence, my happiness, my sense of power and control depends on getting this enjoyment now, whether it's respect or adoration or distinction or popularity or this new TV set or whatever it is. Okay. And so that gets at it concisely gets at the very source of our frustration, our resentments, our anger, like that. And it's the nature of the soul. We said, like, the nature of the consciousness to desire. I desire to move over here. If there's no consciousness, like that pillow, it's never going to desire to get up and go to another room. But I desire to have this relationship go this way and that way. So, material desire, which is based on the misconception that I am this body, and that I'll be satisfied by satisfying the senses of the gross body and the subtle material body. Subtle material body, kamana buddhir over evacha. Subtle material body is composed of material mind, intellect, and false ego. And so, subtle or gross material desire, that's compared to that material lust is compared to lead, and spiritual desire is compared to gold, and so what's suggested in Bhagavad Gita is to transform the quality of our desire, rather than serving concentrated or extended material conceptions. Extended could mean like, well, it's not so much about satisfying this body, but I'm going to serve this community or this nation, okay, or like that. But to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, serve the very source, the very substratum of our existence. And then it's described, karmaneva dikaraste, ma karma palahetu bor, ma te sangastva karmani, ma karma paleshu kadachana. Krishna says, yeah, to like, our nature is to desire, our nature is to be attached. We don't, no, just don't be attached, don't be attached. We're going to be attached. Be independent, don't be dependent. We talked about this last week in BBTC. The nature of the soul is to be dependent and attached. Our choice is to be attached and dependent on matter or spirit. Dependent on spirit means I'm attached to serving Krishna, the Supreme Person. Okay. And so to the extent we have any material attachments, To the extent that we're addicted to material pleasures, then we are attached. Then we are, to the extent we're addicted to material pleasures, then we're entrapped in material miseries. It's just like, it's like a spiritual law. Any material attachment, we are creating a prison of material misery, whether it's gross or subtle. That's it. Okay. And so our opportunity is to, it's okay, I'm attached to serving God. I'm using the term Krishna for God, the Supreme Person. And then, so Krishna emphasizes, yeah, be attached to doing your service, fulfilling your responsibility in service to the Supreme Whole, the complete whole, the superconsciousness, without attachment to the result. Without attachment to the result. So if I'm not attached to the result, and the result's not mine to enjoy, what's the point? Let me just hide under the covers and watch some soap operas or something. No, Krishna says, don't be attached to not doing your responsibility, your devotional service, and realize that ultimately you're not the doer. So to be attached to fulfilling my service. So like God say, okay, so all right, let's see. Okay, so immediate, right? So I was invited and I accepted to do the service to lead a class and discussion on Bhagavad-gita today. Okay, all right. So my endeavor, my endeavor, right? So then my endeavor is to do it purely. Okay, and whether it's conducting a Software seminar or whatever my different services, my endeavor is to do it purely. I'm serving self-realization and super soul connection, and then giving 100%. And I'm open to feedback. How could I improve like that? Whereas, let's say if my attachment is, oh, people will say, oh, David, you're great. That was a great class. And then that was such an amazing seminar. And then my ego is fed. Like, yeah, I got adoration and distinction and fame and like that. If it's about that, then I'm saying, oh, now I'm really elated because I'm getting honored. But now I'm getting insulted and dishonored and criticism. Oh. Whereas if my attachment is to the service, then I continue with enthusiasm. Wow, I got this appreciation. Okay, so that's encouraging. Oh, I got these kind of critical comments. Okay, all right. I don't want to say, oh, that's just about you. Okay, let me look. Okay, how do I process that to become a better servant of Krishna? So it's about purifying our desires, not eliminating them, but transforming. Pure desire means I'm just desiring to serve Krishna. And then any feedback that comes, whether it's appreciative or condemning or whatever it is, I just take that as an impetus to deepen my desire to serve Krishna. That's the platform for ever increasing happiness. It's described. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakaliya Shanta. As long as we retain any form of gross or subtle material desires, we will not be peaceful and we will be irritated. Just like Hiranyakashipu, who he was a greatly austere person, but he didn't have the one in front of the zeros. He was opposed to bhakti, to Krishna. As long as there's any form, even a subtle desire for mystic powers, then people will think I'm amazing or something. Any material desires, gross or subtle, then we will be entrapped in material miseries, including frustration and the pain and the resentment and the grieving and all that suffering. But Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ateva Shanta. If we're free from material desires and our unavoidable propensity to desires is simply directed to please Krishna, then that's a dynamic inner peace. Prabhupada, I'll close with Srila Prabhupada. He wrote in the 1930s, he wrote a poem glorifying his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati particularly appreciated one couplet in the poem. And that couplet is, absolute is sentient, thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast moved. So it's brilliant. Let's unpack it a bit. Absolute, which means the supreme, which means that truth, which is good, true, and beautiful in all time and space. That's Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like we looked at relative truths. Oh, using money to build a hospital. It's a relative truth. Always telling the truth. It's nice. We don't want to neglect that, but it's not absolute, right? Okay. Or even David Wolf, 65 years old, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Well, that's relative. Was I David Wolf from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 100 years ago? Will I be David Wolf a trillion years from now? The spirit soul exists for eternity. Even a trillion years isn't even a lightning flash compared to the eternal life of the soul. So Krishna, in service to Krishna. Yes, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. I'm a servant of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's true, that's absolute truth, true in all time and space. So absolute is sentient. Absolute is sentient. Sentient means has senses. Senses means there's likes and dislikes. You have senses. I have senses. So there's there's the tongue and the belly. There's some foods I'm attracted to, some foods I'm not. Ear, some music I'm attracted to, some not. Right? Some fragrances I'm attracted to, some smells or odors. We're sensitive things we like and don't like. So how can we deny personhood and sentience to our source? Janmadhyasya yata, what exists in the effect must exist in the source. So the supreme person, the most complete realization of the absolute truth must have senses. So there's some things and sometimes it's tempting, like, to deny the personality of Godhead and the sentience of the Godhead. Because then I can say, oh yeah, I'm spiritual, I accept God. And practically, what's that mean? Oh, I can do anything. Because ultimately God is just some white light or some void is in nirvana. No, there are some things we do that are pleasing to Krishna. And learning that art and science, that's bhakti. Now this is I'm not invoking the image of like a punishing God, Old Testament type of thing. I love the Old Testament, by the way, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes we say, well, I don't have to follow any rules and regulations. God, Krishna loves me whatever I do. Well, okay, but that's kind of missing the point. Sure, just like a parent loves their child, whatever the child does, the parent's always going to love the child. True. And is it that, and whatever the child does, the parent is equally pleased? Not true. No, there's some things the child goes, wow, that's so dear to me that you thought of me in that way, and that, wow, you're really contributing to society. You're doing amazing things with your life. Or, oh, you drew me this picture in kindergarten, like that. And that, or there's something, yeah, no, you're hitting your brother and making him cry. I am not happy with that. Okay, and I'm not happy with that. Parents are always loving, but there's some things a child can do, whether it's a 2-year-old or a 20-year-old or whatever. Some things that children can do that endear themselves to the parents, and some things where the parent needs to invoke discipline. So we direct our desires to that which pleases Krishna, and then our happiness is simply in pleasing Krishna. My process to please Krishna is to hear from someone who knows Krishna intimately. For me, that's Srila Prabhupada. No doubt he's a pure devotee of Krishna. So if I'm pleasing Prabhupada, I know I'm pleasing Krishna. And when I'm not pleasing Prabhupada, then I know I'm not pleasing Krishna. So then we just meant that's my desire, to please Krishna. Then we're truly free from the embarrassment of material miseries. If you want to share, Zeth, what's happening for you?
Um, um, I'm bringing myself into the moment. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff tugging at my awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that you said that was interesting to me is about sense gratification and having that be also subtle.
Yeah. Yeah, also subtle, right?
I think sometimes I get a little bit of unsureness. Like for me, some of my strongest attachments feel like they're thoroughly mixed with what's spiritual and what's subtle and what's material, and that not only like makes it hard to feel like that's an attachment, that because it's got what feels like a very significant spiritual component to me, it makes it very hard to release. And it also, I think, just amplifies the power of that attachment because it's so ubiquitous and enmeshed through the whole system.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, Zeth. I'm moved and touched. I appreciate your introspection. And yeah, that's it is said, not knowledge is power. Intelligence or knowledge is the capacity to make distinctions, and that so much relates to, like, I hear your process, challenge, struggle, grappling with different desires, and that because a desire, it's not just I want more money or I want sex, or desire can be subtle. I want this person to adore me. I want respect. I'm attached to the respect I have, but now they're not trusting me like they used to. And so, like, what's the distinction between, let's call it just an overt material desire, a subtle material desire, and an actual spiritual desire? And I can relate. Sometimes, often, those different threads can be closely intertwined. So I appreciate your process. I know myself, what's been helpful today, literally today, because I've read Prabhupada's books earlier today for 46 years, like through the chanting and through reading Prabhupada's books, I get a more and more refined intelligence to have discretion to differentiate between those different threads. Thanks for sharing. Thank you, Seth. Oh.
We've been having discussions where we spend our lives acquiring knowledge, for instance. Yet towards the end of our lives, aren't a lot of monks and all like letting go, like creating space in our minds, to just be. So it's, I don't know, like at what point is that crossover from wanting to continue to acquire knowledge versus just acquiring experiences?
Thanks for your question. There in the Ocala area and in your community, your discussions. Well, I appreciate that discussion. Yeah. So, okay. Acquiring knowledge can become a subtle form of acquiring Ferraris or acquiring beach houses. See, well, no, that's spiritual, it's intellectual. Well, could be, but not necessarily. And yes, so but then it's what's called in Vedic terms. There's the karmi. I just want to acquire material acquisitions, and that can be Ferraris and beach houses, or it can be respect and adoration and popularity, and distinction and compliments, honor. And then there's what's called the jnani, where it's about acquiring knowledge. I've read so many books. During the class I led, I quoted some verses. So that can be very spiritual. But let's say it's like, look how many verses I know. Look how much Bhagavad-gita I know. Then it becomes a material attachment to subtly acquiring subtle Cadillacs. So, this is described, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jana Yat Yashubhairagyam Gyanam Chayad Hetukam. See, I know another verse. So what it describes is that by engaging in, because there's the karmi, the jnani, and there's the yogi. The yogi in that sense means one who acquires mystic powers, which can be used spiritually and related to what Zeth shared, like, mystic power, it's beyond just like, someone who is powerful in this world. Mystic, they can do many things, they can control minds and things. Okay, but that can also be used for manipulative material purposes. So there's the karmi, jnani, yogi, and then there's the bhakta. And the pure bhakta, because there can also be the pure bhakta, automatically gets knowledge and detachment, all the good qualities. So, I do read regularly, but I read so many things. Like part of my sadhana is reading Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad-gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada's letters, Prabhupada's lectures. So then bhakti can be mixed with, I'm doing bhakti because I want to please Krishna, but it's mixed with, because then I'll get better qualities, and then my business will go better, and then so it can be mixed, and then people will adore me more. So the encouragement is, we might study philosophy and engage in philosophical discussions and acquire knowledge in us with a heart and with a spirit to enhance our bhakti, not to just collect more factoids. But that realization from Bo, from Zeth, that realization enhances my inspiration to engage in bhakti with more purity. So sure, we can approach knowledge, not reject knowledge, with a bhakti spirit, and then that's a purified approach to acquiring knowledge. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate the question. Anything else before we transition to the next part of our Bhakti Yoga Enlightenment program? Rasamrita. Hare Krishna.
For a question for this time hearing the story, it's always fresh, right? But I've been however many things in my life, and my experience of myself is it was never enough. And then to imagine, right, somebody with bigger reach, and it was never enough. He was never satisfied. He wasn't self-satisfied.
Yeah. He was not Atmarama, not self-satisfied. Yeah.
And so I appreciate that perspective. I rather keep my small problems. I mean, what kind of hellish way is it to be to have control over everything, and it's still not enough?
It's not enough. Yeah, hard to conceive how tormenting that would be.
This made me think of envy. I'm trying to remember now. But so in ways that we, for example, like envy God or envy others, it's not enough. We want more. It's not enough. We want more. And then I was in the question of what about self-envy? And I've been in that question because I think it's something I experience is self-loathing. And so in that way, right, a problem with the self, a problem with the ego is that it's self absorbed, and that
Yeah.
could be like, oh yeah, someone gave me adoration. Oh yeah, they're right. I am so good, right?
Yeah.
But then, in the other way, envy of the self is, oh, someone criticized me. Someone said I could have done something better. Yeah, they're right. I can always do better, right? And in that way, it's again that self-absorption and allowing yourself to be validated in that way from outside of yourself. So those were some thoughts.
There's the saying, a good saying, I like, humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less.
Mm.
Whereas it's like, oh, I'm criticized, and yes, that's true, I need to work on that. And, we do so much of that in our Safito programs, looking at ourselves, and it relates to this discussion with Bo, because even pulling the weeds from the garden of the heart, introspection, that can become an arrogant self-absorption. Now I want to work on this, and now I want to work on this. Okay, so that can become a whole self-absorbed distraction, and okay, whether it's through being a seminar junkie or just all these deep introspective conversations, but is it just another form of materialism? Look, I'm such a personal growth person. Another form of look at me, look at me. At the same time, we're encouraged. Yeah, let's be introspective. And let's distinguish what is authentic from inauthentic. And let's look at self-defeating tapes and what's the payoff for my grungy in a spirit of gaining self-awareness, and that will enhance my inspiration to engage in bhakti with childlike loving devotion. Otherwise it can just become an analysis paralysis, another way to be the center.
So on that point, there was a sentence very specifically. It was the last sentence of the verse of the purport. Thus he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. So before that, by proper use of that independence, he comes under the direct order of Krishna. Thus he attains his normal condition in the pleasure-giving potency. So I was like, what does that mean? And what I understand it means is that concentration and that commitment to service, whether it's through regulative principles, like you said, whether it's spontaneous, and through that commitment, we're undisturbed, right? So whether I'm getting fame and acclaim or being ridiculed or mocked,
Yeah.
We can have a steadiness. And then it made me think of another verse in the Bhagavad-gita. In the purport, it says something like, I'm paraphrasing it, I don't remember. It's something like, man hasn't attained perfection unless he's asking, why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And so to the extent, like, this is the answer, we're here for service. And when we understand that, it's a type of perfection, to have that commitment, to have that focus, and to apply ourselves. Thusly, we can gain that undisturbed state. Undisturbed,
yeah. Thanks for that, Rasamita, and for highlighting steadiness. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita, Matrasparshastu Kantiya Shitoshna Sukadukada Agamapai no Nityas Tamasti Tiksha Subharata. He says that the appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. Krishna is encouraging us to tolerate them without being disturbed. Yamhi navyatiyante te pusham pusharshaba, samaduka sukham dhira sop mitatvaya kalpate. And Krishna says, one who's steady in happiness and distress, honor, dishonor, and continues to enthusiastically engage in service, that's liberation. It means like whatever the modes of nature are doing, and the modes of nature are bringing me compliments or insults, honor, profit, loss, whatever they're doing, I continue in devotional service, which is the source of my bliss. That's liberation from the modes of material nature. So you mentioned, like, let's say someone criticizes me or points out shortcomings, and maybe they're doing it from a caring heart. Maybe they're malicious and they want to tear me down. Whatever their motivations. But if I can go into, oh yes, I am so low and fallen and undeserving. All right, there can be a spiritual humility about that if that moves me to deeper desire to engage in bhakti. But then if in the name of I'm so low and fallen, then I'm withholding my gifts from the world, withholding my gifts from serving Krishna, then that's arrogance masked as humility. Then that's envy of the self. The nature of the self is to shine brightly in bhakti. That internal potency, that's another name for bhakti. Shuddha-sattva bhakti. So that's our nature, to serve humbly. Humbly means I know my position and I'm surrendering to it. And sometimes that can look like I'm going to be quiet in the background. Sometimes humility looks like being bold and challenging and powerful like a thunderbolt. So it can look different ways. But real humility is surrendering to my position as spirit, soul, servant of Krishna. And if I'm withholding my gifts and my energies, then that's not pure devotional service. It's arrogance. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad-gita ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Okay. Now my understanding is, as we transition to the next part of the program, we're going to again visit an experience with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And for those who would like to join and participate, we'll experience Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in form of japa, in the form of japa. And at the beginning of the program, at 2 p.m. Eastern, we experience Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the form of kirtan. And so we'll distribute japa beads, and we'll have an experience. And we'll notice our experience. Okay. I'll use this. I like to use those, but for reasons you know, I'm skeptical sometimes about the numbers. And when we order mass quantities of japa beads, we find that there's a small percentage that don't have 108 beads. That's why I like to be sure to count them, but I'm trusting. So, I had one in Davos, Switzerland, that had 118. I'm not joking. It wasn't 109 or 107. Yeah. Okay. So, Hare Krishna. Yeah. I'll say, for being on contract, purposeful, enthusiastic, being all of the qualities of the shining diamond soul, the practice that for me, for about 43 years now, like the cornerstone of my spiritual self-realization process is the main cornerstone is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We explained a bit about it towards the beginning of our program today. And so, just like with any multimedia presentation, similarly with any meditation process, a principle is the more senses engaged in the process or the activity, the easier it is for the mind and heart and consciousness to focus. So like with mantra meditation, we're engaging, as opposed to some forms of silent meditation, with mantra meditation, we're engaging the faculty of speech, the faculty of hearing. When we use japa beads to support our chanting, we're using the faculty of touch. So it's for japa Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it's generally recommended to use the right hand, thumb and middle finger, and to start with the bead next to the large bead. Large bead, I mean the one with the tassel. Yeah. Okay. And on each bead, we chant one Mahamantra. So in this first bead, next to the tassel bead, we would chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then we move to the second bead away from the large bead, and on that second bead chant one Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then to the third bead, away from the large bead, and chant one Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this way, to chant 108 mantras, there are 108 beads on the strand, not including the bead with the tassel. To chant 108 mantras is called chanting one round of japa. So, for whoever would like to join, we'll start with the first bead next to the large bead, and we'll chant one round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra japa. And if anyone online, if you don't have beads, the beads are not essential. They can help us with the concentration process. Or you can, if you want, you can just chant along with us and chant the 108 mantras, and it's a meditation. We do our best to focus our power of hearing on each word of the Mahamantra and be with our experience. If our mind wanders, which mine always does, even though I've been practicing for 43 years, simply notice that and do our best to bring our consciousness back to the vibration of each word of the mantra and be with our experience. Let's start with the first bead next to the tassel bead, and let's begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Sometimes the counting's not exact with everyone. Hare Krishna. Thank you for chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Hare Krishna. I'll ask in a few moments if anyone would like to share your experience of that chanting in a less is more form, meaning one or two words, maybe a short phrase or two. If anyone would like to share what you're experiencing in one or two words or a short phrase.
Clarity and peace.
Clarity and peace. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you.
Resonance and vibration and cleansing.
Resonance, vibration, cleansing. Clarity. Peace. Thank you, Andrea.
Experience satisfied and blissful.
Satisfied, blissful.
Experiencing a lot of warmth in my heart and gratitude.
Warmth in your heart and gratitude. Thank you. I'm experiencing smiling. I'm experiencing transformation. I'm experiencing happy. Okay, and as I mentioned, for me, this chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa, this is the cornerstone of my daily spiritual practice since the summer of 1983. Back then, but officially in 1985, I actually gave a vow to Srila Prabhupada that I'll chant at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Japa each day. And probably, the thing in my life that I'm most proud of myself for is that I've fulfilled that vow each day, and that's been steadily uplifting for me in my experience of self and fulfillment and purpose and joy. So I'm deeply grateful that this practice of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has found me through A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada coming to the West and sharing this chanting of Hare Krishna. So, one doesn't need to make a vow. With the vow for me is a structure, like whether I feel like it or not, I'm going to discipline myself, and that's been a very uplifting discipline for me. It's described one thing that causes this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to be especially powerful. It's described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who rejuvenated the chanting of Hare Krishna about 500 years ago. It's an eternal practice. Historically, it's there since the time of Bhagavad-gita, and it became a bit dormant, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejuvenated it about 500 years ago, and then A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami brought it to the West starting in the mid-1960s. And Sri Chaitanya said, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Chatrapitanyamita Smarane Nakale Tadrashi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dordevam Idrashami Hajani Nanuraga. Says that one can chant this without rules or regulations, with a vow or without a vow. Standing, sitting, walking together in a group with beads or without beads, singing or reciting, and it's potent. Some of the other Vedic mantras, for them to be potent, one needs to be carefully trained in the breathing and the inflection, and practically no one in this age is trained in those things. I'm not. And so that's this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Nakala. Whenever we can be chanting or singing while driving, or we could be walking in the park or sitting alone at home, and it's a potent process. Hare Krishna. Now, you'll be surprised to hear that in the next part of our program, we're gonna chant Hare Krishna. So you're all like, what? I'm shocked. Okay. And so we're gonna go into kirtan. At the beginning of the program, we experience kirtan in sitting. In the next kirtan, well, for those who choose, we could stand, and if you're inspired, you can dance. And then after kirtan, we'll experience another core aspect of the process of bhakti called prashadam, which is sanctified vegetarian. It's food that's been offered to Krishna with love and devotion, like that. So it's spiritually purifying food. A theme of our talk was whether it's knowledge or introspection, and that can all be done in a material way, or it can be done that supports bhakti. So prashadam is bhakti-inspired, bhakti-infused eating process. Would the Mangam boys in some combination like to lead kirtan?
Yes. Two thumbs up.
All right. Hare Krishna.
You're saying.
You're ready.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padaya